Hello, people. I've got Michelle back here. Michelle Perry. We talked to her about her background in an earlier video. And I really want to, maybe for some, it'll be a little controversial, but Michelle, you're happy with controversy, are you not?
Oh, absolutely.
With all you've done in your life and all your journey, I'm sure you've been in a little hot water once or twice,
Oh, just a few times.
just a few times. We're not counting, are we? But where
No.
I'd like to go, because um, in the preface to this book, A Subversive Movement, I touch on there something that is termed the Seven Mountains of Influence. And after having written it, I read an article that you wrote, and I will make reference to that on the website. Um, and you actually referred to it as toxic. And that really caught my attention. So I want to push right in with this question, Michelle. You actually used a term which I really, really like. You said something like, our words
hmm
create worlds.
hmm
And I've wrestled with, because we have to use words.
Absolutely.
You and I, we both believe as believers, the gospel means an engagement with, in, throughout
hmm
society. We believe the gospel is about the transformation of society. And
hmm
here is a movement or a teaching that comes and says, okay, we're on the same page.
Right. Hmm.
So it's very attractive. Why why the article? Give me a bit of your own background uh, to your approach to it and why you wrote the article with the angle you did. One that I agree with, but I love some of the words you used.
Well, here I go getting myself in trouble probably. But I first encountered what a teaching similar to the Seven Mountains, but it's not exactly the same, even though they're often referred to with the exact same terms and kind of conflate it together, which they're not. But I was a part of Youth with a Mission, and they have a similar teaching that is referenced often by Seven Mountain folk that are teaching it about the seven mind molders of
Uh,
society.
yep.
And it's not nearly as hierarchical, and it had a little bit more of a missions edge to it, opposed to a takeover. um, but and when I first heard it, what I heard, because of my paradigm, was, oh, we're going to get to go love people. And sometimes, back then I would have said, we're going to get to love people in the world. Well, that language has even changed for me, because it's not that. We're just going to get to go love people. And so that was kind of my introduction to the concept, and I was favorable to it. I thought, oh, okay, this is great. We're not going to stay behind our four walls of a building or a structure. We're going to go out and see real transformation happen that is going to positively affect people's lives. Hooray. um, and so as I spent 2 decades in kind of the missions world and Christian ministry land, I in the last 10 years, last 10, 15 years, came across, because of some of the streams I was in, the Seven Mountain teaching. And when I first heard it, I went, oh, that's just like YWAM, because they use
Sure.
almost the
Okay.
same terminology, which is really confusing. But I got initially kind of, I went, oh, that's cool. And then as I sat down, and as I do, I really believe in taking everything I hear back to who Jesus is, back to who I know him to be, and kind of going, um, the more I did that, and the more I started to get unsettled. And because was a very prevalent and a very popular teaching in the circles I was in, me being unsettled was like, well, that's a little like, about this. So I kept back burnering it, and it got to the point where I finally said, God, why am I unsettled? Why is it bugging me? And as I think sometimes we don't listen to our own intuition and the conscience that God gives us, and we second guess ourselves because some famous person said it, and so they must be right. Um, and so I said, God, why is this bugging me. And I had a picture of, like, in my mind's eye, this huge mountain of God coming up and flipping the mountains upside down. And so I didn't really wait much beyond that to see if God had anything else to say about it. And so I thought, well, that's cool. All right, so we've got it upside down. It's,
Okay.
instead of a top down, trickle down, it needs to be, we are in an upside down kingdom, and we're gonna come as as lovers and learners of the least, and see transformation come from the bottom up, more
Let me just
grassroots.
jump in just for a moment to
Mm,
clarify something. The Seven Mountains teaching is essentially seven mountains of influence, and that
correct.
the, there's a small percentage who really influence that, and therefore, logically, we need to get to the top 3% if we're really
Right.
going to affect society. So what you're saying, you saw the, in your words, toxicity of that
Mhm.
hierarchy, etc.
Yeah.
Uh, Flip it upside down was your next
Yeah.
phase approach.
That was the
It's
journey.
bottom up. So where do you go from there?
Um, and that satisfied me for maybe about 6 months. And
Okay.
then I got uncomfortable again. And so whenever I get I'm uneasy about a teaching or about a concept, I always go in prayer and ask why. Because yeah, it's just important. So I did. And what I realized, I was actually, ironically, I was actually working on a master's degree in leadership at the time. And I realized that it's in God's kingdom. And number one, if Jesus wanted to transform society by being king of the hill, he would have let people crown him king while he was walking around the earth. There was so much theological toxicity and unhealthy things that didn't reflect like Jesus. And when living in the United States and seeing the radical fruit thereof, even unto our own governmental system, and when this mentality started to happen,
Yeah.
that it gets fused often with nationalism and political ideology. And it's not Jesus. It doesn't look
Okay.
like him.
Yeah.
And so when I said, oh, Jesus, what's your idea of transformation? And I realized it wasn't even about being a missionary to the mountain, because I did have that for like okay, maybe this isn't a mountaineering movement, it's a missions movement.
Yeah.
That doesn't even go far enough, as not it's not about top down, it's not about bottom up. Okay, it's about inside out. It's about the metaphors that Jesus used for leadership and transformation, the parables he told, go be yeast
Yeah.
and transform the very nature of the substance of that environment. And you're not ever going to reach transformation through takeover.
Yeah.
And that really became the crux of it, that it's not about taking over, it's not about being in power and Christianizing the world. For those of us that are living in the United States, this is very tied to certain political ideologies. And what's interesting to me is, so if you take it to its logical conclusion, we're reenacting, or have the potential to reenact, some of the same oppression that this nation was founded on to escape, if that was taken to its logical conclusion. So there are just so many different nuanced things that are wrapped into this, that don't look like Jesus, that aren't about living in love, they're about being right, they're about establishing power, they're about taking over, not serving and transforming through, actual legitimate, real, authentic relationship that doesn't have an invested purpose. I'm not your friend because I want you to believe
Hmm.
like I believe.
Yeah.
I'm your friend because you're worthy of love, and I enjoy being your friend. And if our faith comes up, then great, we'll talk about it.
Yeah.
But
Very good.
have you ever read a book? It's called The Celtic Way of Evangelism.
Not that book in particular, but I've read a lot of Celtic stuff.
You've got a lot.
Yeah.
What I love about what I've read about the Celtic kind of
Yeah,
saints and their histories is that everything was integrated. It
yeah,
was holistic. It
absolutely.
was, I'm going to love you and walk in relationship with you. And if out of that relationship transformation happens in your life, that's great.
Yeah.
If, but I'm not here to take over and force you to do something that you don't want to do.
No. No, excellent, Michelle. Really, really good. And I think that, no, and also with the article, which I will highlight, I think it gives people a handle in. Now, one final part. You're in business. You're
Mhm.
involved in the marketplace. Um, so being involved in that setting outside of the pulpit, the ministry, the conference circuit, et cetera, you still um, really feel that the seven mountains is not even a helpful little paradigm.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. It is not helpful in any way, shape, or form whatsoever. Um, I'm not here to be a Christian business person. I am not here to use my spirituality as part of my marketing materials. I
Okay.
am not here. I am stepping on so many toes, and I know I'm getting myself in trouble. But I'm here to serve clients well and to love them and to see them succeed. And again, out of the place of relationship, if a genuine conversation happens, then
Sure.
I'm happy to be true to my own story and share that as my
Yeah.
experience, and then let God do whatever God wants to do in that moment, and let him be God, because I certainly am not. Mm.
On that note, Michelle, I think we'll end because I loved everything you said. The last part is 100% true. And I think what you said before was also right on the button. So thank you so much. And we're going to talk again. Thank you.